Hey guys, welcome back. This is our third project and we're going to be talking about value. On the screen you'll see a YouTube video link that you can go to learn more about value. And it's a really cute little song. Scratch Garden has lots of cool videos that teach about art, so check them out. For this project you're going to be needing the following materials: construction paper, black or another dark color, pencil or a white crayon, a small paper plate to trace a circle the size of a dessert or a cake plate, and oil pastels. You can find these at Joann Fabrics, Michaels, or Amazon. So everybody's been to a home store, Lowe's, Home Depot, even Walmart's home section, and they have those paint chips. And on those paint chips, they have various colors. Now, it's a dark color, a light color, but usually they're all kind of grouped together. So all the blues are together, all the reds are together. That's called value. For our project this week, we're going to be making some flowers, and we're going to be using different values of color. On the video for Scratch Garden on YouTube, they discuss how to make colors lighter and darker. And when we want to make a color lighter, we are going to add white. When we want to make a color darker, we're going to add black. So if you haven't had a chance to take a look at that, that's really good as explaining the different vocabulary and how those things work. So we're going to be starting by tracing our circle for the center of our flower. And we're making a very close-up picture of a flower. So don't be afraid to color or draw right off the edge of your paper, because we want some of it to be kind of hanging off the paper because it's very close up. So we started with the plate, and then I've been using kind of like the letter C. So if you can make a letter C, you can make these petals. Make sure you're spacing them about 3 fingers apart. And you're going to start by making that letter C, going all the way up to the edge, and then another backwards curved line like a letter C. And we're just going to go all the way around, just taking that curved line out to the edge, all the way out to the edge, and then another one backwards curved line. Just follow the page all the way around. We're not leaving room on this page for sky or clouds or anything else. Our background is going to be our paper. That's why we chose a nice dark color so that our background will pop from behind our flower. Almost done. A few more curved lines. If you want your petals to be skinnier, you can make them skinnier. Every flower can be different. So I'm going to start with my center. My center of my flower, it's going to be on mine. I'm choosing a nice pale color. You may choose whatever color you want. Maybe you should take a minute and take a look at some pictures on the internet of different kinds of flowers. It could be a sunflower, it could be a daisy. There's cone flowers. There's just a few that I can think of. So I started with my yellow crayon. It's a nice light yellow. It's going to be easy to change the value of this because we can add dark to make it darker or black to make it darker, and it's still dark enough that I can add some white. Make sure when we're coloring, we're not leaving lines behind. We're not going to scribble the color on. We're going to take our time. We're going to color in all of that area. The good thing about pastels is it fills in the area really nicely. You can almost kind of paint with it. The harder you push, the more of the oil pastel will be left on the paper. It does get a little messy, so be prepared to have your hands get a little bit of pastel on them, especially when we start doing some blending. Make sure that you're keeping your hands off of your clothing or tablecloths or wherever you're working so that you're not staining anything. So fill in the first area. I'm starting with the center, but you don't have to. The whole thing is going to be one solid color, and that is the base color, the hue that we're working with. Now we're going to add some white and some black for areas that are lighter and darker. Around the edge of the flower, that's where it kind of bends into the side and it's darker in that area. So I'm going to add some lines of black. Now, you don't have to put too much on there because this is going to be blended in to create a darker yellow, kind of a shadow. So I just made like the number 1 all the way around, and then I took my finger and I smudged it so that makes it look like a shadow all the way around my flower. So you're just making another circle, but you're making a circle with a smudged black pastel. Kind of like painting, kind of like finger painting. Then I'm going to add some light color, some white, onto the top, because if this was a curved flower, that's where all the sunlight would be bouncing off of it. So start with just a circle of white. Once I have it as dark as I want to, then I'm just going to smudge that yellow. I'm going to blend it into the corners and the sides so that it looks more natural, and there's kind of like a reflection of white in that area. You can go back and add more. You can smudge it more until it looks the way you want it to look. Once you've got the center done, or you're ready to move on to another section, then you need to decide what you're going to put in that section. I'm going to make all my flower petals the same color. Of course, some parts are going to be lighter and some parts are going to be darker, but if you choose to make your flower have a variety of petals, different colors, that's fine. All I want you to do is make sure that you're trying to work with that white and that black and create darker and lighter versions of that color. So I chose a kind of a purplish, kind of a light purple. And I'm starting to color just the whole section in. We're going to start with that base color. And you can see that that color is very tough to see against that black background. So I'm going to try it out, but if it's still not really showing up, I might do some changing. The good thing about pastels is, like I said, they're kind of like paint. So you aren't stuck with the color. You can paint over things. You can color over things with pastels. So I decided it was a little too dark. So I found another one that was similar. I'm not going to change it to like orange now, but I'm going to add a little bit of a lighter color, which is, this is like a pink color. And that's going to lighten up that color. So now whatever I do on the first one, I'm going to do all the way around because I decided I was going to do. Okay, so just like I started with that purple, I'm just going to do the whole thing. And I'm changing it from a dark purple to a lighter purple now. It's kind of like what I would do with the white, but I don't want to use my white yet because I want some areas to be darker than others. Okay, so that I smooth my color out so that it's not have lots of lines or dark or light spots. I kind of blended it with my finger. And now I'm going to start adding some darker and some lighter areas. So with my black, again, right by the center of the flower, that's where there's going to be less amount of light because it kind of bends into the center. So I'm just going to add some long lines there with black and then smudge them in. So I'm blending them into that pink color so that I have a dark pink rather than a light pink. On the edges where the flower is kind of reaching up towards the sun, that's where there's going to be more light in this picture. So I'm just going to add some white on the edges there. This is a make-believe flower. So if you're looking at other flowers and you see that the light is hitting somewhere else, then you can add your white in different areas. As you can see, I have fast forwarded and gotten to the end, and I've already gone through and I did all of my petals. I did some areas with black, so there's some shadowing, and there are some other areas that are lighter where I added the white. So this is the last petal I had to work on, and I'm just working on finishing adding that lighter color to the flower petal. Blending it in. Making sure it's a nice smooth color. I kind of like the look that it leaves behind a little bit. It looks kind of like brush strokes, so you don't have to have it perfectly smooth. There, I'm adding that shadowing in the middle towards the center of the flower. A little bit of black, smudge it in. Grab that white, and then I'm going to do a little bit of white on the edge, on the bottom. That sunlight is bouncing off of the flower. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do some outlining. You can see around the center of the flower I've used my black pastel to create some outlining, and I'm just going to do that all the way around. I'm just going to outline all of my flower petals. It just kind of gets it that last finish step. If you want a rougher edge and you don't want to outline it, that's fine too. I'm just telling you how I did it. Since the paper is black, it kind of just makes that line a little bit neater, blends into that background. You can finish this whole project in one day. However, if you need another week and you have to stop, that's fine, because that's what we're doing here at school on campus. So my students are going to have a whole other week to finish this up. I am not going to be having an additional lesson for this project next week. I will check in with you and do a little review, but your project is to make this flower and to use different values and work with adding lighter and darker colors. If you finish it in 1 week, then just check back in and you will not have to do an additional assignment next week. You won't have to add to it. It's up to you whether you finish it all in one day or not. Just finishing up a little bit more, doing some smoothing out, and we're done. Now, if it's going to be difficult to find these materials, I do have some alternative activities. So keep watching and you'll see some examples of things you can do if you are unable to get those supplies. It will still meet the same skill, task, and target skill, which is value. The first example is using the paint chip cards that you can find at the store. Walmart has some, Lowe's, Home Depot. You can make flowers with those, and that has different value. You can also look through your advertising, your flyers, your magazines, and pull out colors that have different values and make a flower with glue and those pieces. Have fun. Can't wait to see these beautiful flowers.